The room was still, save for the faint hum of the city below, distant car horns, the occasional whoosh of a passing train, and the muted chatter of life carrying on. Mei leaned back against the soft leather of her cream-colored couch, the weight of the day pressing into her shoulders. The glass of red wine in her hand caught the dim glow of her desk lamp, casting fractured light onto the walls of her meticulously arranged apartment. Her laptop rested on the coffee table in front of her, its screen glowing with rows of meticulously color-coded spreadsheets. The numbers were supposed to comfort her, to remind her of the control she wielded at work. But tonight, they were a blur, an indecipherable mess that only heightened the ache in her chest. She sighed and took a slow sip of her wine, letting the bitterness linger on her tongue. It didn't soothe her the way she hoped it would. Mei set the glass down with a soft clink, staring at it for a long moment before leaning forward, propping her elbows on her knees. Her fingers weaved together, her thumbs absent-mindedly circling each other as her thoughts spiraled. The truth she carried was a heavy, throbbing weight in her chest. She had spent the better part of her life pleasing others, her parents, her professors, her bosses. She was the dutiful daughter who excelled at everything, graduating with honors, securing a high-paying job, even mastering traditional Chinese dishes for the rare occasions her mother insisted she host family dinners. And yet, here she was, at 26, hiding a part of herself her parents would never approve of. Her gaze shifted to the small frame on the side table. It held a family photo from years ago, taken during her last visit to Guangzhou. Her father was as stoic as ever, standing tall in his tailored suit, while her mother wore her signature warm smile, her arm wrapped protectively around Mei's shoulder. Mei was sandwiched between them, her own expression a mixture of pride and obligation. What would they think if they knew? She murmured to herself, her voice barely audible over the hum of the city. Her thoughts drifted to Eric. Just the thought of him brought a faint, involuntary smile to her lips. His deep laugh, the way his arms felt around her, how he could make her forget the pressures of the world with a single glance. He was her anchor, the only person who saw her not as the perfect daughter or the rising star at work, but as Mei, the woman who loved to sing off-key in the shower, who snuck extra dumplings when she thought no one was looking, who cried during cheesy romantic movies. And now, she carried a part of him inside her. Her hand moved instinctively to her stomach, fingers grazing the soft fabric of her sweater. The thought of the life growing there was equal parts terrifying and exhilarating. She hadn't told him yet, not because she doubted his reaction, but because saying it aloud would make it real. Mei exhaled sharply and leaned back against the couch again, staring at the ceiling. She imagined how her parents would react if they found out. Her mother's sharp intake of breath, the way her father's jaw would tighten as he folded his arms across his chest. Their words wouldn't need to be loud, the weight of their silence would be punishment enough. "I need more time," she whispered, as if trying to convince herself. Just a little more time to figure this out. The room seemed to press in around her, the city's hum fading into a dull roar in her ears. She reached for her wine glass again but hesitated, her hand hovering above the stem. After a moment, she pulled it back and tucked her knees up to her chest instead, wrapping her arms around them. She wanted to believe she could have it all: her family's approval, her career, and Eric. But deep down, she knew the reality was far messier than the spreadsheets on her laptop. "Tomorrow," she murmured, resting her head on her knees. "Tomorrow, I'll figure it out." But even as she said the words, a small voice in the back of her mind whispered that tomorrow might be too late. Mei sat on the couch, staring blankly at the spreadsheet on her laptop. Her glass of wine sat untouched on the coffee table, her earlier resolve to work now buried under the weight of her thoughts. Her hand absent-mindedly drifted to her abdomen, the unspoken truth of her pregnancy sinking deeper into her consciousness. She barely registered the soft knock at the door. When the knock came again, louder this time, she startled, her heart leaping to her throat. Setting the laptop aside, she hurried to the door, her pulse quickening as she checked the peephole. Eric stood there, dressed casually in a fitted hoodie and jeans, his broad shoulders filling the frame. His warm, steady gaze met hers through the small glass. She hesitated for a moment before opening the door, her fingers trembling slightly on the knob. Eric smiling, "Hey, Mei. Thought I'd stop by. Is this a bad time?" His voice was soft, almost hesitant, as though he could sense the storm swirling behind her calm facade. Mei stepped aside, letting him in without a word. As he walked past her, the faint scent of his cologne, a mix of cedar and something subtly sweet, grounded her for a moment. Eric turned to face her, his brow furrowing slightly as he took her in. The usual confidence in her posture was gone, replaced by something fragile and uncertain. Eric gently, what's going on? You look off. Mei forcing a smile, I'm fine. Just tired. Work stuff. She avoided his eyes, but Eric wasn't one to let things slide. He stepped closer, his large hands resting gently on her shoulders, grounding her with his presence. Eric, Mei, don't do that. Don't tell me you're fine when you're not. Talk to me. The warmth in his voice and the concern in his eyes unraveled the last thread of her composure. She let out a shaky breath, her hands instinctively clutching at the front of his hoodie. Mei whispering, I don't know if I can do this, Eric. Eric softly, do what? Mei meeting his gaze, her eyes brimming with tears, any of it. Us? The baby. Telling my parents. I'm scared they'll never accept us. Eric's expression softened, and he pulled her into a firm embrace. Mei melted into his chest, his steady heartbeat against her ear offering a small comfort in the chaos of her thoughts. Eric after a pause, I get it. I really do. But Mei, we knew this wasn't going to be easy. You're strong, and we'll face this together. Whatever happens, you're not doing this alone. His words wrapped around her like a safety net, and she felt the weight of her fear ease, if only slightly. She pulled back just enough to look up at him, her voice trembling but steady enough to speak. Mei, what if they never forgive me? What if they hate us? Eric firmly, then that's on them. We'll give them time, but we can't live our lives trying to meet their expectations. We've got our own family now. And as long as you're happy, that's all that matters to me. His hands moved to cup her face, his thumbs brushing away the tears that had spilled over. Mei searched his eyes, finding nothing but sincerity and love staring back at her. A warmth spread through her chest, breaking through the cold grip of her fear. Mei whispering, I don't deserve you. Eric smirking, you're probably right. But you're stuck with me anyway. She let out a soft laugh despite herself, and Eric leaned down to press a gentle kiss to her forehead. For the first time all evening, Mei felt a flicker of hope, a sense that, with Eric by her side, she could face whatever came next. Eric, come on. Let's sit down. You can tell me everything. No judgment, no pressure. They nodded, allowing him to guide her back to the couch. As they sat together, Eric's arm wrapped protectively around her, she began to share her fears and thoughts in earnest. For the first time, she felt like she wasn't carrying the burden alone. The living room was quiet, save for the occasional muffled sounds of the city outside. Mei sat curled up on the couch, her legs tucked beneath her as she sipped tea from her favorite mug. Eric sat beside her, his presence a calm anchor in the storm of her thoughts. His hand rested lightly on her knee, his thumb drawing slow circles as though to reassure her. Mei nervously, I don't even know where to start. My parents. They have these expectations. For me, for my life. And telling them about us, about the baby, it's like I'm shattering everything they've planned. Eric gently, Mei, you're not shattering anything. You're living your life. Their expectations don't have to define you. You've worked hard to build your career, to be the person you are. That's worth respecting. Mei sighing, you don't know my parents. They don't just want respect, they want control. And if I take that away? Her voice trailed off, and she stared into her tea, as if the swirling liquid could provide answers. Eric shifted closer, his deep voice steady but firm. Eric, you're not taking anything away from them. You're showing them who you are, your strength, your independence. And if they can't see how incredible you are, that's on them. But you can't keep hiding. Not from them, and definitely not from yourself. Mei looked up at him, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. She wanted to believe his words, but the knot of fear in her chest made it hard. Mei, what if they don't forgive me? What if they cut me off completely? Eric holding her gaze, then we'll deal with it. Together. I've got your back, Mei. Always. His unwavering confidence sent a ripple of calm through her. Mei reached out, her fingers intertwining with his. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Mei, okay. But we need a plan. I can't just drop this on them without thinking it through. Eric nodding, agreed. Let's start with the basics, when and where. Do you want to tell them here, or would you feel better doing it somewhere neutral? Mei considering, neutral, definitely. If they're in their space, they'll feel more in control. But if we're somewhere else, it might give me a chance to steer the conversation. Eric smiling, that's smart. What about dinner? Something casual, but not too public. Mei hesitating, dinner could work. But I don't think I can tell them everything all at once. Maybe I start with us introduce you first and then ease into the baby later. Eric's expression softened as he squeezed her hand. Eric, whatever pace you need, I'm with you. We'll take it one step at a time. Mei nodded, her shoulders relaxing slightly. For the first time in days, she felt like she wasn't drowning in her fears. She looked at Eric, gratitude and love swelling in her chest. Mei smiling faintly, you're annoyingly good at this, you know. The whole being calm under pressure thing. Eric grinning, comes with the territory. Logistics is all about handling stress. Mei laughing softly, and I thought I was the planner. Eric, we make a good team. Mei leaned against him, resting her head on his shoulder. The weight of her worries hadn't disappeared, but they felt lighter somehow. With Eric by her side, she began to feel like facing her parents facing the truth might actually be possible. The soft glow of a table lamp bathed the living room in warm light as Mei flipped through a small notebook, jotting down ideas for how to approach the conversation with her parents. Eric sat beside her on the couch, legs stretched out casually, but his eyes remained fixed on her. He could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her pen hovered over the page as though the words themselves were too heavy to write. Mei murmuring to herself, start with introducing you. He's into the relationship. Avoid any mention of the baby until they've had time to process. She sighed and dropped the pen onto the notebook, leaning back into the cushions with a groan. Mei, this is impossible. There's no right way to do this. No matter how I frame it, they're going to be upset. Eric gently, they might be. But Mei, this isn't just about them. It's about us. And they need to see the real you, what you want, what makes you happy. That's worth the risk. Mei turned to him, her eyes searching his face for reassurance. His calm, steady gaze grounded her, but the doubt lingered. Mei, I don't want to hurt them. I know how much they've sacrificed for me, how much they've planned my future in their heads. And now I'm about to tell them I've made my own plans. Eric smiling softly, that's the thing, Mei. It's your future. Not theirs. You've built something amazing, your career, your life. And now we're building something new together. They might not understand it at first, but we'll get through this. You're not alone in this. Mei's lips curved into a faint smile. She reached out and took his hand, letting her fingers trace over his calloused palm. Mei, how are you so calm about this? I'm over here spiraling, and you're just steady. Eric grinning, it's because I know what I want. And I know it's worth fighting for. His tone was matter of fact, but there was a warmth beneath it that made her chest tighten. She set the notebook aside and turned fully toward him. Mei, you're really something, you know that. Eric teasing, I try. He shifted slightly, his expression growing more serious as he reached into his pocket. Mei's brows furrowed in confusion as he pulled out a small velvet box and held it between them. Eric, speaking of building something together. I've been carrying this around for a while now, waiting for the right moment. And I think this is it. Mei's breath caught in her throat as he opened the box to reveal a delicate diamond ring, simple yet elegant. Her hand flew to her mouth, her eyes widening in disbelief. Eric softly, Mei Yen, I love you. I love the way you fight for what you believe in, the way you light up when you talk about your dreams, and even the way you overthink every little thing. You're my partner in every way that matters, and I don't want to wait another second to make it official. Will you marry me? For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Mei stared at him, her heart pounding as tears welled up in her eyes. Her fear, her doubt, all of it melted away in the face of his unwavering love. Mei whispering, yes. Of course, yes. Eric's face broke into a wide smile as he slipped the ring onto her finger. Mei threw her arms around his neck, holding him tightly as a laugh bubbled out of her, light and free. Mei pulling back slightly, you really couldn't wait, huh? Eric grinning, I figured now was as good a time as any. Besides, I needed you to know no matter what happens with your parents, I'm here. Always. Mei leaned in, pressing her forehead against his, their breaths mingling as she closed her eyes. Mei, I don't deserve you. Eric, you deserve everything, Mei. And I plan to give it to you. Mei, well, I only want you. Eric reached for the wine bottle, the deep red liquid catching the light as he poured it into their glasses. He handed one to Mei with a playful flourish, his grin infectious. Eric, to surviving the impossible. Mei rolling her eyes but smiling, and to the world's most patient fiancé. Their glasses clinked together softly, the sound delicate yet satisfying. Mei took a sip and leaned back into Eric's side, the warmth of his presence wrapping around her like a blanket. For a moment, they let the quiet stretch between them, the weight of the night giving way to something lighter, something almost joyful. Eric, you know, you're lucky I'm still here. Mei raising an eyebrow. Oh? And why's that? Eric grinning, because you were this close. He held his fingers a hair's breadth apart to dumping me. Admit it. You thought you could just walk away, but here you are, still stuck with me. Mei laughed, a genuine, unguarded sound that made Eric's chest tighten with affection. Mei, I wasn't trying to walk away. I don't know, panicking. You have no idea how many times I told myself, this is too complicated, Mei. You're going to ruin your life and his. Eric teasing, and yet, here you are. I must have been pretty irresistible. Mei laughing, okay, fine, mister. Irresistible. Maybe I couldn't stay away. But seriously, Eric. I almost did it. I almost walked away for good. Her tone shifted, softening with the weight of her confession. She placed her glass on the table and turned to face him fully, her expression more serious now. Mei, I thought I was doing the right thing for you, for my parents, for everyone. I kept telling myself it would be easier if I just let go. And then, I found out I was pregnant. Eric's teasing smile faded, replaced by something softer, something deeper. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. Eric, and that changed everything. Mei nodding, it did. At first, it terrified me even more. I thought, how am I going to handle this? How am I going to tell anyone? But then I realized. I couldn't imagine doing this with anyone else. Couldn't imagine my life without you. Her voice wavered slightly, and she looked down at her hands, twisting her ring nervously. Eric's fingers found hers, stilling them with a reassuring squeeze. Mei continuing, I was so caught up in trying to make everyone else happy, my parents, society, whoever, I almost ignored what I wanted. What I needed. And that's you, Eric. You're my home. You're my future. Eric's thumb brushed over her knuckles, his gaze steady as he took in her words. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft but full of conviction. Eric, I'm thankful too, Mei. For the baby, for us. For whatever brought us together in the first place. Because you're it for me. Always have been, always will be. Mei smiled, her heart swelling with emotion as she leaned forward, pressing her forehead against his. The weight of the past weeks, of the fears and uncertainties, seemed to melt away in that moment. Mei whispering, I'm happy things happened the way they did. But I'm scared, Eric. About the future. About how hard this might get. Eric tilted her chin up gently, his dark eyes meeting hers with an intensity that made her breath hitch. Eric, Mei, I don't know what's coming either. But I know this, we'll face it together. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out. You, me, and our little one. That's all that matters. Her lips curved into a small, hopeful smile. She leaned into him, letting his arms wrap around her, and for the first time in weeks, she felt truly safe. They sat there like that, the future still uncertain but somehow brighter, their laughter and whispered words weaving a cocoon of love and trust around them. The room seemed to settle into a comfortable quiet, the kind of silence that felt full rather than empty. Mei's fingers remained entwined with Eric's, her thumb absently tracing the back of his hand as they sat together on the couch. The ring on her finger caught the light, a small but powerful symbol of the commitment they had just solidified. For the first time in days, Mei felt a sense of clarity. Her worries about her parents, the baby, and the future were still there, lingering at the edges of her thoughts, but they no longer felt insurmountable. Instead, they seemed smaller, more manageable, like shadows that could be faced as long as Eric was beside her. Mei softly, I still can't believe you've been carrying that ring around this whole time. How long were you planning this? Eric smirked, his eyes glinting with a playful light as he leaned back into the couch, his arm resting comfortably along the back. Eric, a while. I almost asked you at that restaurant a couple of weeks ago, but you were so stressed about work I figured it wasn't the right time. Then I thought about doing it after that movie night, but you fell asleep halfway through. Mei laughing, you're kidding. You were going to propose while I was in pajamas, with popcorn crumbs everywhere. Eric grinning, hey, I think you look cute in pajamas. But tonight felt different. You were being real with me, raw, vulnerable. That's the Mei I fell in love with. So I went for it. Mei smiled, leaning into his side and resting her head on his shoulder. The faint scent of his cologne, a familiar mix of cedar and something warm and sweet, comforted her, like home in a bottle. She felt his hand tighten slightly around hers, anchoring her in the moment. Mei quietly, you make everything seem so simple. Like no matter what, we'll be okay. Eric gently, that's because we will be. I'm not saying it'll be easy. Your parents might not take the news well. There'll be challenges we don't even see coming. But Mei, I know we can handle it. We've got each other. That's all that matters. She tilted her head to look up at him, her heart swelling at the quiet confidence in his voice. It wasn't just his words that comforted her, it was the way he said them, with a conviction that left no room for doubt. Mei reached up to brush her fingers along his jaw, her touch light but full of meaning. Mei, I don't know how you always know what to say, but thank you. For this. For everything. Eric, you don't have to thank me. I'm exactly where I want to be. They sat there for a while longer, the weight of their plans for the future easing with each passing moment. Mei found herself dreaming, for the first time in weeks, not of fear or failure but of possibility. She imagined the life they could build together, a life full of love, resilience, and laughter. The thought was like a warm ember in her chest, small but steady, burning brighter with every beat of her heart. Eventually, Eric shifted, breaking the quiet but not the intimacy of the moment. Eric, so, MRS. Soon to be Johnson, what's our next move? Do we keep brainstorming, or do we take the night off and celebrate? Mei rolled her eyes, a playful smile tugging at her lips. Mei, first of all, it's Mei Yen. I'm not giving up my name completely. Eric mocked solemn, noted. Johnson Yen it is. Mei pretending to think, and second. I think we should celebrate. Just for tonight. Tomorrow, we can figure out how to survive my parents. Thank you for listening to If at All Modern. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, share and hit that notification bell for more from this series.